So, we all know about the Sonic redesign, right? That epic moment in history where the entire world united on Twitter to bully Paramount into changing this abomination of a design to the much more loved version that we see today. Remember that? Because that event, where fans used social media to influence a huge film corporation, was the first big sign of a much larger shift. A shift in power between the fans and the movie makers, with social media at the center of it all. And I believe that this new power dynamic will lead to major consequences down the line that will impact the quality of future films. Hey everyone, my name is Cyberscribe, and today I'll be talking about how social media has been used by both fan bases and movie corporations to influence each other, how fans have started to take power over film production, and what this all means for the future of films. It's no secret that social media has become an integral part of our daily lives and our society, including both the film industry and fan bases. While film companies and fans have always influenced each other, social media has amplified their relationship. For me, the Sonic movie redesign is the best example of this, and this power struggle has only gotten bigger. This begs some questions. How has social media shaped this relationship between films and fans? Who's the most influential? And what are the consequences of this imbalance? Well, to answer those questions, we need to take a look at each side of this conflict, starting with Hollywood itself. For years, movie companies have used social media to influence their audiences. Thanks to researchers like Sachin Gupta and his research on social media's impact on the film industry, I've identified some of Hollywood's key methods. These companies use social media sites like Twitter, and no, I will not be calling it X no matter how much Elon wants me to announce films, create discussion props, even post memes. This is all done to create discussions around their films, giving their films more attention and viewers through simple means, like silly GIFs. All that attention allows film studios to gauge film popularity, using statistics like an actor's followers to determine how popular, and thereby how profitable, their upcoming films will be. As demonstrated in Fnu Shrudi's research, the higher an actor's follower count on Twitter is, the greater the performance is for a company's films. That hindsight allows studios to make changes to their marketing and films to further increase their profits. Hell, social media has even allowed these corporations to turn massive backlash into praise. As discussed in Atlantic Zia's research on the subject, companies who choose to respond to backlash with vulnerability and honesty are able to receive more positive reception than those who act defensively. When they admit to their mistakes and promise to do better, people are usually more forgiving, as opposed to when companies just say, "Deal with it. We are right, you are wrong," which never goes well. Suicide Squad. The Sonic redesign is actually a perfect example of this tactic. Millions of fans were outraged at Sonic's appearance in the first trailer. And rather than Paramount and the film team saying, "This is our design, get used to it," director Jeff Fowler chose to apologize on Twitter and promise to fix their mistake, using sympathetic wording to sway the public opinion to being more forgiving. As a result, the movie was a smash hit, earning over $30 million, with very little resentment from fans thanks to Jeff's choice of words, as well as keeping his promise. So it's pretty obvious just how much influence movie companies have over their audiences. With social media, they can create small posts to create massive discussions, gauge film popularity, and even put out fires with ease. But while Paramount may have chosen to fix Sonic's ugly mug, fans were still the ones to light that fire in the first place. In fact, if it weren't for the fans demanding en masse that Paramount redesign him, Sonic would have stayed gross and uncanny. Sure, Paramount could have refused to change the movie, but these companies need money to survive. And who's their biggest providers? That's right, fans. So, with that said, I think it's time to look at the other faction here, the fan bases. We all know about fan bases, how they started out as small groups of local geeks, but once the internet rolled around, specifically social media, these groups expanded over the entire globe. We also know fans could get pretty vocal online, both positively and negatively. Well, as noted by the online education platform Yellowbrick, for the past few years, film studios have been taking notice of all this, incorporating some of these ideas into their own projects. If enough people online shout that they, for example, would watch the next Superman movie if he had long hair, and that opinion gets through the studio walls, film producers might feel compelled to give Superman long hair. Social media has given fans a method of voicing their opinions en masse, allowing their voices to be heard, and those voices can get loud enough to influence changes made to films. To quote Yellowbrick, "This level of interaction between creators and fans has blurred the lines between traditional roles of producer and consumer, giving fans a voice and a sense of ownership over the franchises they love. No movie better demonstrates this than the first Sonic movie." The Sonic movie is a perfect example of this, with fans on Twitter pressuring Paramount into completely redesigning the character. But this wasn't the only instance of fans influencing cinema decisions. Far from it. In fact, one of the earliest fan campaigns, and one I had no idea about until researching this video, was one that actually predates social media, the Star Trek Continuation campaign. According to Jessica Keller, when the Star Trek fandom learned that not only was the series not doing well, but also was at risk of being canned, they immediately sent thousands of letters to the studio to show their support and desires for the show to continue. It's because of those vocal fans that Star Trek is still around today. And if fans back then could stop a show's cancellation with just a bunch of letters, imagine what they could do with the power of the internet. Oh wait, you don't have to, because the Snyder Cut takes it a step further with fans willing an entire movie into existence. As detailed by Jessica Keller, when it became clear that the Justice League movie people saw in theaters was completely different from the version Snyder wanted to make, fans demanded that Warner let Snyder create his version, creating the massive Twitter campaign, #ReleaseTheSnyderCut. Eventually, Warner Bros. Caved and gave Snyder the reins, resulting in the 4-hour version we have now, which has a much darker tone, more character development, and overall just more care put into it. Though I'm not a fan of that huge runtime. This power shift makes a lot of sense, because, as explained by Chloe Gallo, the internet has changed fans from passive consumers of content to active viewers that make their own. I mean, there are so many fan creations online. From the cringy fan fictions to the amazing high-quality fan films, social media has allowed fans to share their own fan-made content. This has changed how fans view content, going from just watching it to analyzing it and even being inspired by it. And with such an overwhelming amount of fan content, it's become nearly impossible for movie producers to not take notice, many of these ideas influencing the directions these producers take on their next films. So we've established that fans have become the more powerful faction in this war. But this shift in power has also resulted in major consequences: the fall of the general audience. According to Inku Kang, the rise in large movie franchises has resulted in massive learning curves for average viewers to get over, as well as fan service to be prioritized in movie production over story quality. And unfortunately, it's the fans that are fueling this trend, with the amount of money and praise they give these films pushing film corporations to make interconnected films that focus more on fan service than telling a good story, resulting in society's recent franchise fatigue and a lot of movies flopping. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is a perfect example of this. As recapped by Brian Rowley, when fans first saw The Last Jedi, they expressed on social media how upset they were with the direction the film took. Many fans felt the film deviated too much from the expectations they had built up for the film, wanting the new trilogy to be more like the original films they grew up with. So, in response, J.J. Abrams wrote The Rise of Skywalker to include a lot of elements from older films, in order to course correct and please fans, but in doing so, ended up disappointing both fans and general audiences. The film completely rewrote the entire plot the previous movies had established, such as Rey's backstory, forcibly reintroduced old characters like Emperor Palpatine with no explanation, and shoved in a bunch of references to older films, like Luke lifting his X-Wing, as well as other changes that many viewers disliked. By focusing on using the film to appease fans, Abrams ended up disappointing everyone, and this filmmaking mindset is still present today. Films nowadays are being built with only the fans in mind, meaning both story quality and general audience accessibility is usually neglected. Well-written stories, character development, overarching themes, and general emotional impacts are being overlooked in favor of what studios believe fans want. More references, more inside jokes, more cameos, and more characters. All this has resulted in oversaturation of fan service, neglect of genuine storytelling, and the exclusion of general audiences, showing how fans have become too influential in the movie-making process. Everything in life needs balance, and that includes films, because while studios should always take into consideration the thoughts of the fans, it should not replace their own. We want movies made out of passion, not out of check marks and data. And there you have it. Based on research and facts, social media has become a powerful tool in this power struggle between fans and filmmakers, being used by both sides in a variety of ways. But it's clear that fans have become the bigger influencers, and while that has led to many positives, it could also lead to major consequences later down the line. The question is this new power dynamic truly a good thing? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this dive into the world of films and fan bases. Until next time, have a good one, everyone.